All right.
Is it expensive out there to fly back home?
The flight was, yeah. It's like almost 12,
Dang.
close to 13.
Dang.
How long is that flight?
Well, it's connecting flight, so it's 6 hours from here to Honolulu, and then another 5 to 6 back from Honolulu to the islands.
Oh, well, that's not bad then.
Yeah.
You got your own little place, or you in the dorms?
Nah, I moved out like last month. I'm staying with my girlfriend now.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
that's what's up, man.
What city are you in? Are you in LA or where you at?
Yeah, I'm in Woodland Hills.
Oh, you're out there. Oh shit. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Out in the valley.
Valley with it.
Trust me, dude. Nobody wants to stay in the dorms at SC. I can tell you that much for certain.
Yes, sir.
Well, actually, back in my day, the Web Tower and the other one, I forget what it was called. Those were brand new because I started '84, right? Those were built for the Olympics in '84. Yeah, '84. Those brand new back in the day. You know.
Hey, Mark, y'all ready? You want to push live so I can start the watch party?
Yeah, I'm about to right now. As soon as.
Terry, I'm not going to tell you how old I was in '84, man. I don't want you to feel bad.
Brett, I know by far I'm the oldest one amongst us, man. It's not even close.
Like this, I got pictures of myself at the '84 Olympics with me and my grandmother, and I think I was 11 years old.
Yeah, I know. I'm a lot older than everybody else.
All right, we're on, fellas.
That was back in the days when you wore shorts that, were as long as the pockets, and that was about it.
Exactly.
Little booty shorts that the NBA players used to wear.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Land of Troy RoundTable, episode 2. Episode 1, if you go back and watch it, we had the big bruiser Marquis Step on. But today we got USC linebacker Juliano Falaniko representing. Fight on. Talk to him for a few questions. Then we also have later on defensive extraordinaire, former defensive coordinator Braden Washington to talk about what he sees in the new USC scheme from Todd Orlando. But first and foremost, like I said, we're going to hit it off with some discussions and talks with Mr. Falaniko. Ty, what you got?
Yeah, let me start it off. Once again, thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate it. One of my questions will be my mentor, coached me in football, good friend of mine, Junior Tungaloa. He went back to American Samoa back in 2015 when Troy Polamalu had the Samoa initiative. I think the last time they had that was in 2015. And I just wanted to know if you were there for that camp when all the high schools were playing. And if so, what was that experience like for you, and what impact did it have on the island?
Man, that camp was a blessing to everybody, to all the student athletes back on the island, because we barely get that type of experience. Like coaches from the mainland and where out here come to the island to watch us Islanders play football, it means a lot to me. And the experience I've gained throughout the time, I had to soak up all the knowledge from every single different coaches that was there that day. And I'm very blessed that they came up to Samoa with that camp.
Right. And I know my coach, he was actually there, funny enough, with KC.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to meet Coach Casey while you were there too?
Yeah, that was the first time I met Coach Casey too.
And did he start recruiting you at that time?
I kind of don't remember, but he was looking into me because at the time I was playing wide receiver, not on and defense, but mainly wide receiver at the time. But yeah, we had our chats back and then, back and forth.
Okay, receiver, huh? You got some hands?
Little bit, you feel me? Haven't been on that side of the ball in a long time. So,
right.
I want to see some INTs in and coming up, man. Come on, pick a couple off, take it back to the house, man. That's what I want to see.
No, and make sure you actually make it to the end zone. Don't start dancing on the 1 yard line.
Nah, that's not me. Don't worry, I'll cross that end zone before I do any of that.
You know what? That does lead me to a question though, because as a defensive coordinator and a defensive coach, I had to go coach the offensive side so I could better understand the ball. Do you feel like now, being a defensive player, having played offense, that you have an advantage in reading scheme and looking at certain things from a defense perspective you can look at on the offense and say, I know what they're going to do there?
Yeah, definitely. Like, that's all up to you and, like, how you study it and stuff like that. Even if you're on the other side of the ball, like, you have that type of feeling of what's coming, like, what's about to come your way. So you have to yeah.
Okay, cool. Second question I have for you. When I watch you play, man, you play with a lot of energy. It seems like you're always going about 100 miles per hour on the field, looking to take somebody out. You're a strong kid. You're fast. You hit hard. What is it about the game and playing at sea that drives you to give it your all in every play?
First of all, it's my mentality. Like, whenever I touch the field, whether it's like the Coliseum or the practice field, I gotta walk into the field with like my mindset ready to really, like, to me, like, my mentality is to hurt somebody when I'm on the field. Like, I'm a whole different person. Like, not to be like, not in a disrespectful way, but like in the manner of the game and like spirit of the game football.
Right.
And like, being a poly that plays for SC is a huge thing. And like, I want to continue that legacy that every single poly that went to SC have. And that's about it.
Nice. Okay, let me see here. We have some questions from Terry. What you got, Terry?
Hey, when a huge difference, obviously, in America Samoa versus playing in the mainland, right? Now, when you came out, was there like some culture shock? I mean, who took you under their wing and say, hey, look, you know something, I got you. Let me show you what's going on around here. Let me get you used to being on the mainland in a big city. I mean, it's one thing to go to a small city, but hey, you're in LA, right? So how was that transition for you?
It was a pretty all right. My first 2 weeks, it was probably like the most difficult time throughout that transition, because like I didn't know that much. Like, coming from an island to like an actual big city where everything's fast, like everything's moved fast. Like, there's no time like to slow down and teach you stuff. You have to like get on board and get along with the program. And I'm very thankful that a few of the vets took me in when I came in, like Lieutenant Nwosu, Porter Gustin, Jordan Yosefa, like all the old Toa Lobendon and Coach V. They basically took me under their wing and like taught me how like to become like one of them, how to like be a Trojan at the time.
Yeah. So what was the biggest difference that you saw playing in American Samoa? Also, you're on campus at SC and you see these players. What was the biggest thing for you in terms of what you saw on the field?
A lot of difference. Like, I've seen a lot of different things when I came back. When I came from Samoa, not just like the speed, like quickness, and like how flexible and how like everything it is. Like, cause back home, all we're taught to like do is hit. Like, we do fundamentals and like technique, but to us, our main goal and like our main purpose was to like really bang and hit one another. And like, coming from Samoa, seeing a lot of like new stuff, like seeing a lot of new things out here, really like motivated me to like get on their level, become a hard hitter, and at the same time have good footwork and like good work ethic and stuff like that. Have you had a chance?
You're going in your fourth year now, right? Is this your third year at SC?
Fourth year.
Fourth year, right? Yeah. Do you get a chance to maybe do for some of the younger kids like what Uchenna and those guys did for you? Have you had that opportunity?
Yes, sir. I have to. I have so my position, there's a few young players behind me, like Malik McClain. I try my best to take him under my wing, teach him the game, put him on like what we're on, and make him used to it, which he is now. Like, he's pretty considered as a vet now because he's going into his third year, I believe.
Yeah.
Sir. Okay. And other players like that too.
All right. Well, what do you got for Mark?
Hey, what's your current height weight?
I'm at 6'3.5", weighing at 240, 239 right now.
That's what they want you to be?
Yes, sir.
Okay, nice. So last 2 years, Coach AA has taken over in the strength room for USC. Are there any noticeable difference that he's made with you personally?
A lot. Like, I'm very thankful. First of all, I'm very thankful to have Double A on our team. First of all, like, I think he's one of the best, like, best of the best strength coaches ever in the program. And, like, he's very straightforward with you. Like, he'll really tell you what you need to work on, what you need to, like, gain, and, like, stuff like that. He's like a straightforward type of person, and I like that type of, like, person in our staff coach. I'm very thankful for every single one of them in that weight room.
Nice.
So
Brandon,
speaking of that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna ask him, has he had a chance to study the new defensive package coming in, and if there's anything about it that he sees that he might like or he's looking forward to?
Yeah. Yeah, we got a new DC, and like he has his own game plan, which is cool. We haven't like started. We practice it before like this whole COVID-19 started up, and I have a good feeling it's a great package. Every single one of them. I can't wait to be a part of it.
Do you see yourself in his defense as more of a rush type backer?
Yeah.
Because I noticed on his defense he has. I mean, when he runs the 3-3-5 alignment or the 3-2-6, that he'll play that extra outside linebacker. That'll usually be his rush guy, or he'll drop back and then the rover will rush through the A gap. Yeah, so you get to do a little bit of zone blitz in there, where you get to jump back and play a little bit of coverage, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that ought to be a couple. But you got to have good hands for that, and being a wide receiver, that might come in handy, man. Because quarterback on a hot read is gonna throw that right to you.
Once I get my hands on that ball, I'm not dropping it. Best believe that.
Nice.
So
That's right.
we had a question from our admin Jose. He's not here right now. Couldn't make it tonight, but he wanted to know what was it like to play high school football in Samoa? What's the biggest difference?
Everything, like field wise, weather wise, kids wise too.
Really?
Yeah. So out here it's not like back home where all of a sudden the game is on a Saturday. It's sunny, like the sun is up, and then I don't know, 20 minutes later it starts pouring rain. Like the football field's literally flooded with like water. They don't cancel our game. Like they'll still continue our games, and like it's pretty fun, like actually playing in the rain and stuff like that with other teams.
Yeah, and I seen they did a little video of the Samoa initiative out there, and they were showing the field, and it looks like you guys were playing a lot on dirt, right? You have only like a little bit of grass on the football field, right?
Yeah, it was basically dirt and rock. So whenever like you fall or something, you'll definitely get up with a big scrape, not even turf burn, but like literally a cut on your like somewhere wherever you fall.
That's what I'm talking about.
And that really hurts.
Yeah, I bet. So now that you made it, you left Samoa and you came to USC, big time program. What has that been like for you as being like the mentor or somebody for the kids back home to look up to? You have a lot of people and families that reach out to you, a lot of Ohana and Aiga that come and, message you on IG and Facebook and talk to you about that?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So leaving back home, coming here to a big program like SC is something really big. And like I'm very fortunate and happy to be a part of this program. And like at the same time, I'm happy like to be like a role model to my people back home. Like I made it this far, so that means you can make it too. Like,
right.
And like I try to motivate. I try to motivate a lot of people to go up, like to get up and get it, because like nothing in life comes easy. Like you always gotta work for it. And my dad always told me that.
That's what's up. I like that.
So when your career is over, are you planning on going back to America Samoa and doing working with the kids over there to try to get them, more kids out here to be able to get D1 scholarships out here?
Yeah, well, the main goal right now is after my career at SC, pray to God that I'll make it to the league, and then from there on, like I was planning on going back to the island to like give out, like to basically give them what they didn't have that they right now.
That's good. That's good.
Be a big help to them.
Man, I
Last
just
question.
want to give you
Go ahead.
a huge shout out because a lot of fans, they don't give enough love to special teams. And when I say the last few years, you are a warrior on special teams. Like you got some highlights, man. And I just want to ask you, what gets you the mindset to say, I'm gonna play my role. I'm gonna set the example, and I'm gonna go down here on special teams, and I'm gonna lay it to somebody every single time.
I mean, it all starts from special team. You feel me? Like you on a team, you gonna they gonna put you on special team to like see what you're about. And like when they gave me the opportunity on special team, not just on kickoff, but also on kickoff return. Like ever since they gave me the opportunity, I told myself that I'm gonna make the best of it because like this is where it starts. This is where they're gonna see like what type of player you are and like how you handle pressure. And that's one thing about me. I love handling pressure. Like whatever they give me, I'll tell them that I'll do it. Like whatever position they need me to play, I'll do it. I'll play it. Like,
for sure. Every kickoff, I'm looking for number 41.
Yeah. And I'm looking for somebody else's helmet on the ground too. I've seen that happen a lot. Last question from our other admin, Jose. He had asked, for you, what was your big college football moment? What was it when you got into the Coliseum or a visiting team that you said, I'm playing big-time college football right now?
My freshman year, my first game, like, to me, that was like my college football, like college moment because it's my first college game, like my first time ever being on live television in front of a million people around the world. Like, I don't know, it just gave me excitement. But for now, every single game I go into, like I tell myself I'm gonna give it my all because a lot of people are watching.
Right. Good job, man. I like it.
Who did you guys, in American Samoa, who did you guys play against? Because there's only like 50,000 people on the entire island, right? So who did you play against?
Against other high schools in the island. So we'll have 2 rounds to play each other.
Oh shit! Because I'm in a town. I'm here in LA, but I'm in a town called Downey, and our population, our little town right here, is twice what American Samoa is. We're 110,000 here, man. And we only have 2 high schools, man. At 2 high schools. So, you guys don't play against like the actual the country of Samoa at all, or you just stay only against American Samoa teams?
Just American Samoa teams, and then sometimes they'll fly us out to like the farthest we went was Honolulu to play other schools because other schools came like the mainland came to like Hawaii for a bowl game for like a little league bowl game, and I was fortunate to be one of them.
Cool.
So I know this question wasn't on the email I sent you, but just out of curiosity, can you talk a little bit about your recruitment, how that came about, and how you decided, hey, I'm going to come to SC? That was a school for me.
For sure. So it was the first time SC looked at me was there was a camp in Hawaii called, I think it was the GPS camp, where Coach Johnny Nansen came to recruit Babai Malepeai and Jordan Yosefo at the time. But at the time, SC wasn't looking at me. But SC was like my top school, like it was my dream school. So I had other offers from other universities, but I didn't have SC. So I went to that camp and I like showcased myself. And I didn't know that USC Johnny Nansen, when he was here at the moment, he was there for Babai Malepeai and Jordan Yosefo. And we had a 11-on-11 scrimmage at that camp. And I guess he came on the side and seen me because I had my American Samoa uniform, my team school on. And then I guess he was asking around, like, where's that kid from? Oh, he's from American Samoa. He's like, what did he play? He's like, outside linebacker. Oh, he's like, oh, what? Yeah. I was like, yeah. Then at the moment, I made a big hit during that camp. Everybody started, oh, like. And he came up to me out of nowhere. He was like, talking to me like, oh, I've never talked to you before. I was like, oh, yes, sir. I've never met you. And like, we started having a conversation. Then after that day, like we got each other's contact and like information. And I think it was my junior year, going into my junior year, where he came and to my school and told me that they had offered me a scholarship to play for them. And like when I heard that, I had to drop everything else, like all the other universities, like that offered me. I had to like stop talking to them because like I got SC, and like that was my main goal, was to like try to reach SC and like get an offer from them, and I did.
Is SC pretty popular? Is SC pretty popular in American Samoa? Is that the big program everyone talks about, or who else do they talk about out there?
Washington State, Oregon State, Oregon.
Okay. But
to me myself, SC was a pretty like. SC was important. That's all. Like
that was it. That was it, right? You got SC. That's all you. That's the one you wanted.
I got my.
Hey, that leads me to an interesting question though. So, which is more popular, Poly High or USC?
What was that?
I said, so who's more popular in American Samoa? Is it Long Beach Poly High or is it USC?
Fight on.
Did you commit on the spot?
Yeah, I committed right on the spot. Right when they offered me, I had to like call Coach Helm and tell them myself that I'm committing to you guys right now.
Oh, nice.
Right. Yes, sir.
But with COVID-19 shutting everything down, I'm sure you've been watching a lot of film on yourself. You got a good amount of snaps last season. What are some things that you see in your personal game that you're like, this year I need to get better at that. I need to take that to the next level?
So personally, I look at myself and like I examine how I played from all the films last year, and like I think I would work on my pass rush more. There's like I still have a lot of like things I need to work on pass rush, because that's like my main position is to rush the passer, and like I need to work on getting better and better at every single like detail and like in my position.
Nice.
You mentioned that your channel was like your, I guess, the guy who kind of took you under his wing. Did he teach you that little move about knocking down all those passes? What did he have, like 12 in that one?
Yeah, I wish he taught me how he did that. No, he didn't teach me that part.
Man, that was amazing. I couldn't. It's like he was just knocking down pass after pass, man. At least 12 or 13 of that season. It was amazing.
Yeah, he's a guy, man. I'm happy. I'm very happy that he took me under his wing my freshman year.
Well, he's still around. He's local, right?
Yeah,
so you can probably still talk to him, right?
Yeah.
Hey, quick question for you. A lot of times when we were watching SC play, especially over the last couple of years, when we watched that rush end, it's to us, it's always seemed like a speed rush. Same technique, and you said you had to work on your skills as a pass rusher. Now, specifically, are you talking about your leverage game? Are you talking about your hands? Are you talking about your moves, spin move, bull, rush? Do you get flexibility at that rush in to change it up a little bit?
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, to me, mostly, I'm trying to like the most important thing I'm working on right now is my get offs and like hand placements and stuff like that. Flexible wise, I'm like working towards it. Like been bending a lot and stuff like that. Yeah. But my main concern and like my main focus right now, I need to get better on is my takeoff and like my hand placements and stuff like that.
Yeah. So do you get any flexibility at that position to change up your rush? So say one down, it's a speed rush. Next down, it's a bull rush. Next time, maybe you might swim or you might spin him a little bit.
Yeah. So like every single down, I try to switch it up. Like I try to switch up my moves when I go against my opponent, because I don't want him to know every single move I'm throwing at him at the same time. That's why he's gonna set up on me, and he's already gonna know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's what I mean. Not just as a coach, but as a fan, that's what we really wanted to see out of our rush ends, especially at SC, because we need that pressure on the QB.
Yeah, sure. You're right about that. We need that pressure.
Yeah, I think two things we need to definitely get more of this coming year that we haven't had is more sacks and more interceptions, because I think we're really missing out on those the last couple of years. Those create opportunities. So
sure. Now with this new defense we have right now, you're going to be seeing a lot of those.
Oh yeah, I've been looking at a lot of his pressure package, and he does a lot of disguising, a lot of pre-snap disguises.
Yep.
So yeah, you think it's coming from one side, it's actually coming from the other side.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So That should be good because, I think last year a lot of teams got to set up on us a little bit because people knew kind of the way we were coming.
Yeah.
I think this year we're going to be able to switch it up. Yeah, that pressure is going to come real good this year. I'm looking forward to that.
I can't wait to see. I can't wait to play it too.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of cool. I mean, to have a DC who played linebacker, is a little bit different than what you're used to. So it's got to be exciting for the entire group of linebackers to say, hey, look, the DC is going to probably center, the entire defense more around the linebackers than anything else, right?
Yeah.
Have them go take off and do their thing.
Yes, sir.
Hey, last question before we let you go. We don't want to take up too much of your time, but can you talk to me about how tight you guys all are on the field? I know we got a lot of polys. That's tradition at USC. One thing that I love to see. Can you talk a little bit about how that element is on the team?
Man, that element on the team, like we keep it a bond. Like every single one of us, like we watch each other's back, and it's like it like releases that type of pressure you have because like knowing you have someone that's just like you that knows how to speak your language and stuff like that. It like lessens the pressure on you, like instead of like, because my first language isn't English, it's Samoan, and then my second language is English. So being able to talk to my other teammates in my first language is kind of comfortable. And then like at the same time, I got to use my second language to talk to my teammates.
Right.
As we all come together on the field, like we teach each other like languages. I teach some of my teammates my language, and like they'll teach me some of their language too. And so like at the same, like at that moment, we're all like we're bonding with each other, and like that's what I look for. Like, and that's why I'm blessed to have like my teammates, because we bond. Like we all know each other. Like if we have any like difficulties, we're gonna like address it and like squash whatever like we have. But like I'm very thankful for like every single person on my team, because we have that special bond going. And like I can't wait for everybody to get back, because like this COVID-19 thing has been too much. Like it's too much. Stop already. Like,
well, I know
you know what it is. You got to teach them the haka, dude. If you get them to do the haka before each game,
hey,
I'm telling you, you know what's up.
Hey, that's all on Coach Hillman. Get that approval first.
Yeah.
Have
they given you a comeback date yet or not yet? Because I know I've heard anything from June 15th to end of June. Did they talk to you?
That was the only day we got was June 15th.
Okay, that's a week ago. That's a week from Monday. So I guess you prepping to get back on campus, then, right?
Yes, sir.
Man, we're happy, man, because for a long time we were thinking there might not be football this year, and we weren't happy about that.
I was kind of sad when I heard that part. I was like, I prayed there's football. I don't know what to do if there ain't no football. Like I need football in my life.
Me too, man.
We all do, man.
I think that's unanimous around here, brother.
All right, Mark, you got anything else for him, sir?
Nah, man. Fight on. We're expecting big things from the defense and the whole team, man. Can't wait to see you guys take the field.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hey, before you head out, Juliano, what's your IG so you can get your followers up and your Twitter?
Hey, everybody, follow me at Juliano Falaniko _ That it's the same. It's the same username for my Twitter. Yeah.
All right, man. I appreciate your time, and I'll shoot you a message so we can catch up after this. I greatly appreciate your time today.
All right. Sure. Appreciate y'all.
All right,
fight on.
Fight on, man.
All right, fight on.
Fight on.
All right.
Nice.
That was good. That was good talk with Juliano. As Mark said, I also have high expectations for him this season. He's a seasoned veteran. He's been with the program for, as he said, 3 years, going on his 4th year. He brings an excitement to the game. He's very energetic. As you said, on the special teams, that's the guy that you notice almost every single time coming down the field, making big plays for us. And I would venture off to even say that he's probably the leader on the special teams. And the times that we did see him on the field throughout these last 3 years, he's been efficient and effective. He gets to the backfield. He's always getting downfield and grinding. And I have high expectations from this season.
Trying to figure out who between him and Mauga who's gonna really hurt somebody first. Those guys are both out there looking. They're literally looking to lay a hurt on someone. I think
Hey,
Mark.
that's what you want to hear.
I think Mark called. I think Mark
As a
called.
defensive coach, man. That's music to my ears, brother.
I think heat-seeking missile is the way Mark described it last year, right, Mark?
Oh yeah, him, Hufanga, Kanai Maga, and we haven't even seen Solo yet.
Yep.
I'm so excited to watch Solo get on the field, man. I really hope he gets out a chance to play this year. I hope he's healed up and healthy. That dude's gonna be a beast, and I'd love to see him in the middle, just crushing people.
You know, the interesting thing about Falaniko, I remember because you guys know I follow recruiting pretty closely, and I have for years. Is when he first came here from American Samoa, people were talking about, well, the competition is not very good over there, so how is he going to be here? But the minute he set up foot on campus, that energy he brings, the what do they call it, the constant motion. He never stops. And I think that turned a lot of heads from day one when he came from American Samoa.
Well, he also seems to have a pretty good football intellect. I mean, if you listen to him when he's talking about football and the things that he wants to do and the things he wants to work on, I mean, it indicates a certain amount of consciousness about his skill set and his position, that tells you he's a thinking player. He's not just going out there full speed. He's actually trying to figure out what he's doing, how he's going to set up the guy, how he's going to take him next down as opposed to this down. I like that. I like that as a football player. It's like Bill Belichick said, you give me a bunch of slow, smart guys over a bunch of fast, stupid guys, and I'll beat you every time.
All right, so Mark, tell us. Brandon. Let's talk a little bit about Todd Orlando's defensive scheme. I won't get into the fact that Rojo scored with 10 seconds left at the close of the half when we played Texas at home. But let's talk a little bit about his defense and what you've noticed and what he's going to bring that's different from what Coach Clancy had at USC the last few years.
Well, what's interesting is that Juliano there was something he said which made me start thinking about how he will benefit in Orlando's defense, because you're going to see a lot of things that look similar to what Clancy did. He runs a base 30 front defense. So his base defense for Orlando is a 3-4, but he mainly plays, most of the time he's playing a 3-3-5 or a 3-2-6, right? So those are nickel and dime packages because he loves to play quarters in the secondary, right? He wants his defensive back looking at the quarterback, looking at the ball, seeing what's coming towards him. He also likes to play a lot of robber coverage underneath, which for you guys who know the terminology, robber coverage means the safeties are playing underneath, looking for the inside routes and stuff like that. So the corners are usually playing deep. Safeties are going to play underneath, looking for the stuff coming inside. But the way I think he might benefit in that is different from Clancy's. We always saw Porter Gustin in the speed rush role. We never saw him drop back in the coverage. In Orlando's defense, that rush in does drop back. So he can either come or he can drop back. And I think Juliano's experience playing wide receiver, the reason I asked that question is because if he's playing that rush in position and it's a zone blitz where he's dropping back into the slant route, right? If he can get his hands up there, he's going to have a lot of chances for interceptions because the ball is going to be coming right to him on hot routes. I mean, especially if it's one of those zone blitz calls, he's dropping back into coverage, guy runs a slant right to him, ball's going to be right in his face. So he should have some opportunities there a couple times a year to at least take a couple back to the house. Interestingly enough about Orlando, he is like most defensive coordinators. He started off as a base 4-3 guy, right? That's where I started, as a base 4-3 guy. But as the offensive schemes start to change, you're playing against more spread, you need more runners on the field. You need more guys who are flexible, right? So he transitioned to the 3-4. But he likes to run his 3-4. He runs 2-4 techniques on the ends. He runs a 0 technique at the tackle. And those guys are mainly for plug-in lanes. I mean, you're not going to see a lot of sacks out of their defensive linemen. Those are mainly for the linebackers. And what Orlando does in his coverage, in his schemes, is he likes to disguise a lot. So what he'll do is he'll throw what looks like an overload blitz to the strong side, and really the blitz is coming from the weak side, right? He likes to do that because he wants to really sell you on what he thinks you think he's going to do pre-snap, and he's going to do the exact opposite. One of the leading rushers, one of the leading sack guys on his team is usually the rover or the MAC linebacker. which is in his scheme is the middle linebacker because he does a lot of blitzing through the A gap. So he'll show an overload blitz on the strong side, and the blitz doesn't come from there. It's actually come from the MAC linebacker, the rover, and maybe that backside linebacker. Those are the guys that are actually coming. He's a pressure guy. He likes to put pressure on the offense, which, you know, as a defensive guy who likes to bring pressure, I don't know any other way to coach defense. I was actually sitting here trying to figure out what defensive coach doesn't bring pressure. Like, you know.
Right. What do you think about those nickel packages, as you were alluding to, and talking about disguising some of those schemes that they think they're going to run? It sounds like the DBs or the nickelback is going to have a lot of opportunity to have some sacks in the backfield.
Yeah, he is. There's a couple good scheme breakdown for Orlando online if you Google it, and you notice that part of his pressure package, he'll have that nickel guy come, especially if he's throwing a feint. So he may even show blitz to the weak side, and then on the strong side it may be that nickel guy, and it may be that backer on that side, you know. And it's usually an A-gap blitz. He's really big on A-gap blitzes, which is, for me, I like that. I mean, especially when you have a zero-shade tackle, because if that zero-shade tackle can control that center and hold that A-gap, whatever gap he dies in, that MAC linebacker now has an open gap on the opposite side that he can take and head straight to the quarterback. So, you know, if it's done well, I think it's great. I think playing quarters behind it is smart because you got all your defensive backs looking at the ball, especially since you're blitzing, you know, because whenever you blitz, you're taking somebody out of coverage.
Right.
So if you're playing zone behind it, at least everybody can see what the heck is going on. Although he does mix it up, he'll play a single high safety. He'll play cover 2. He'll play Tampa 2. He'll do both of them. But most of the time, he likes to play that quarters package, which is good. I mean, because it actually allows our defensive backs not to have to think as much as they normally would. If you're playing a man coverage, they got to think. If you're playing, you know, single high, cover 1, quarterback's got to think. If you're playing quarters, you know, you got your small section of the field, you cover deep, everything in front of you is yours, right? So I think it's going to simplify the coverages for our secondary. I think it's going to give our rush in a lot more – he's going to be a lot more dynamic than what we saw with Clancy's defense. What we saw with Clancy's defense was a straight speed rush almost every single time. And most of us were sitting there pulling out our hair because we could predict that the speed rush is coming, and the tackle would just set up on Porter and kick him out, and they'd run a play underneath him. I think you're going to see a lot of difference from that this year, and that's why I was asking Juliano what other techniques he was working on. Because if he's not just working on the speed rush, if he's rolling on to the inside, if he's using the swim technique, that changes the leverage he's playing on that tackle. Sometimes he's going to take inside leverage, sometimes he's going to take outside leverage, and they're probably going to blitz off of that. So I think it's going to be a lot more dynamic a defense than what we saw out of Clancy's. A lot of times last year and the year before, what we saw, our eyes glazed over because we knew what was coming the next time. It was basically the same thing after the same thing after the same thing, and we were all yelling at the TV going, switch it up, Clancy, switch it up, do something different.
That's kind of like our offense before. That's kind of like our offense before Graham Harrell showed up too. It was the same thing, right? You see Mark exactly what was coming. It's going to be
But we do need to put a student body right back in, fellas.
Yeah. You know, I think what's going to be funny is for a lot of our fans is they're going to come out and they're going to see Orlando play some packages that look like Clancy. And you know, most of our people are quick to jump on something negative, right? So the first thing, that defense looks just like Clancy. And then you're going to see the end drop out into zone. And you're going to see the rover come and the middle linebacker come. And they're like, wait, I haven't seen, what was that?
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah.
So
that'll be interesting to see.
So back in the day, probably when you were probably a defensive coordinator, the linebackers were typically your big bulky guys that were coming down like a freight train, ready to lay somebody's head out. Now in today's defenses, with the offenses that are being ran across the country, we're having to get more of the guys that can bend, the guys that are more flexible, the guys that are quicker, that can get into the backfield, one-on-one matches with the tight end or the slot backs. Talk a little bit about how the linebackers that we have now that we're recruiting or that are playing in today's game differ from what I said and why we need those type of backers.
Well, and it's not just rushing the passer; it's also dropping back into coverage. I mean, we play against so many spread type offenses these days that linebackers have to be able to cover as well. They have to be able to run. So it's linebackers have morphed from being the old Ray Lewis type, big, solid, strong middle linebacker type to smaller guys who can do both. They can drop back into coverage. They can rush the passer. They can come off the edge. You can move them around a little bit. I mean, you don't really sacrifice as much as you used to. The old philosophy was, you needed some big, strong, sideline to sideline guy because he was playing the middle linebacker spot. He was your quarterback. He was going to run sideline to sideline to make plays. And defenses just aren't set up like that because you don't have offenses running the same type of offense. It's no longer 3 yards in the cloud of dust. Now it's drop back slant or, goes, outs, ins, curls, stuff like that. So the linebackers have to be able to quickly evaluate, drop back, get in their zone, or if nobody's coming to their side, rush the passer. So, yeah, I mean, you can't do that, if you got some big, slow, lumbering guy. You need guys who are flexible, who can flip their hips fast, who can get low, who can play both leverage and drop back into coverage, because it's difficult to do both. Like Juliano was talking about him improving as a fast pass rusher and him bending and, him working on his technique. He's also going to have to learn how to stand back up and to drop back into coverage and to get his hands up and do different things like that. So they have to be smarter guys. The linebacker position is much more dynamic than it was back in Junior Seau's day, Ray Lewis's day, stuff like that. I mean, they're no longer 250 pounds, and some of them running 4.2s and 4.3s at the linebacker position. We used to have guys that were running 5 flats at linebacker because – yeah.
I mean, we still did. We had
so,
Cam Smith.
I think we're going to see a lot more. Yeah, we did. And, that's why Cam ran some, and then they would sub him out for somebody who's a little quicker.
Yeah.
But, it's become a more dynamic position for sure.
Yeah, let me ask you guys this.
A middle linebacker at USC.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Terry.
No, I was going to say, since you had mentioned the offenses earlier, I mean, back in the day, the Pac-10 back in the day was known as a passing conference. Everyone else was more of a run conference, like the Big Ten, the Slow 10, if they want to call it that or whatever. Now, and Mark, you might be able to input this as well. The offenses in the Pac now, are they similar to what the Big 12 runs? Is there similarities or is it a little bit different? What do you guys think? In terms of how he's going to be able to adapt to what he had he played against at Texas versus what he's adapting to now in the Pac.
I think it's 100% similar. I think it's a smooth transition. I think Coach Houghton was very, very smart and strategic, and he knew what he was doing when he sought out Orlando in the first place, because you're looking at teams like Arizona State, who's going more to a spread. Even Cal is going more to a spread. Obviously, you got Washington State, you got Oregon. Even Stanford is running more shotgun. Everybody. So 100%, you want a guy. And one thing I was going to say to what Brandon was talking about earlier, with the things that he was talking about scheme-wise that scares me from an offensive standpoint. First of all, that 4 technique is scary because now you got a guy head up on my tackle. I can't reach him.
Yeah.
I can't wash him down. If I want to run to either side off tackle, I got to have a tight end. I got to, because it's a nightmare one-on-one with a 275-pound end nose over my tackle. And then same thing what he was saying about the cover 4 scheme. Our guys are all looking at the quarterback now. I think 6, 7, 8 more interceptions easily. That was one of the things where we had the last few issues was, Clancy blitz, but you know what happened when Clancy blitz? He ran cover 0 or cover 1.
Yep.
Dudes are on the island by themselves. And then I guess the final hint I'll say is with the ability and resources of the athletes that USC can recruit, it's scary what Orlando can do when he talks about positionless defense. When he can take a safety and bring him down and play a 3-safety scheme, and now that third safety is playing like a linebacker, but he's 6'2", 225. So he is almost the size of a linebacker anyways. So, those are things that are just scary, and I can't wait to see it in action.
You know, a real apt comparison for Orlando in terms of scheme, the way he changes up his scheme, would be when you look at Bill Belichick. And when you look at Bill Belichick, he doesn't care. He will change up. He'll have one defensive lineman on the field, you know, or two defensive linemen on the field, and everybody else is linebackers and DBs. And Orlando is like that. Orlando will run a 2-4-5, you know, and it won't mean anything to him because he's based it on his pressure package, on where he's going to bring guys, on where he's going to shift guys to. He's not going to let you set up and tee off on his guys. He's going to move his defensive line. He's going to come from the opposite side. He's going to come through the A gap. He's going to have a lot of offenses guessing, as Mark alluded to. He's going to have a lot of guys, wait, where'd that come from? Who's that guy who hit me? Who was that? You know, you're going to have quarterbacks back in the huddle talking to the linemen, and the edge player's like, wait, where did that come from? You know, and that's what we want. As a defensive coordinator, that's what you want. You want your quarterback going, I don't know who the hell I got hit by. I got hit by somebody. I might have got hit by two somebodies, but I don't know where they came from.
So what you're saying is he's going to try to dictate to the offense, not the other way around. He's not going to sit and wait, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Terry, what if we're looking at the stuff right now, looking at our personnel right now, and let's just go for a 3-4 package, Terry. Who do you see in that front seven come into the season for 2020?
Me? Well, got Marlon. We know that Marlon, Peely, and
Jay
are going anywhere. They're there, right? They're not going anywhere. Got Drake, right? Who's in the middle? I don't know. Who's going to be in the middle? Is it going to be Solo, or is it going to be
EA?
Right, EA. Yeah, we got EA there too, right?
And you got to consider in Orlando's defense, the MAC linebacker, the middle linebacker, that's his quarterback, right? That's going to be the smartest guy on his defense. So personnel-wise, that's who we're looking to play that spot because that's the way he coaches it. His middle linebacker makes all of his calls. He makes all of his adjustments. You know, in my defense, usually it's an alternation between the middle linebacker and the free safety because the free safety can see more than the middle linebacker can, so they tend to communicate. But in Orlando's defense, he coaches his middle linebackers like a quarterback. So personnel-wise, that's what we're going to be looking at to fit that bill. So it's not just going to be, you know, the slightly big kind of fast guy who can get sideline to sideline. He's going to have to be a thinker. He's going to have to be a smart guy.
There's a lot of guys that this coming season that I'm hoping that we have an opportunity to see on the field. As Terry alluded to, some of EA and Solo. But then you have guys that I'm assuming, I will say they probably don't know, that the fans don't know, is like Raylan Goforth. I know Mark is big on Raylan Goforth. You know, he's done his background and he's read all the articles, and Raylan seems to be stepping up. At least as of last year, he's been doing a good job. But we still have like Jordan coming back, Falaniko coming back, McLean's going to be there. We got Elijah Winston there. I mean, we have a stable of linebackers, and I just hope that Orlando utilizes those guys and they're running in and off the field and getting some PT to disrupt the offenses.
Yeah, well, with aggressive as he is in his packages, I think that's going to have to be the fact because guys are simply going to be gassed, you know? Especially if they're coming, because there's somebody almost all the time coming in his defense. I haven't seen anything that I've looked at where at least one extra guy wasn't coming at some point, you know? So I think guys are going to get gassed. I mean, you know, so he's going to have a good rotation, at least a 3 to 4, a 4 to 5 man rotation, probably to linebacker spot. I'm thinking keep guys fresh. Another thing that I thought that kind of, it didn't worry me, but I know that as a former defensive backs coach, it's hard to get guys to transition from what they think they're good at, you know. And if we're going to be playing a lot of quarters, we're going to be playing a lot of deep zone. You know, we got guys. Our defensive backs are built to play man. They run like gazelles, and they're sort of set up to play man most of the time. And Orlando will do that. He'll play some single high safety. He'll play some cover 2, some man under. Every now and again, he doesn't do it a lot. His main coverage is the quarters coverage. But when he does switch it up, he does like to play a lot of man under or single high safety in cover 1. So our guys will still get a chance to play man, which is what they're best at, obviously. But being so dependent on playing the zone, they're going to really have to learn how to play and react to the zone, how to pass off those players to the next zone, how to communicate, because when you've been a man player almost your entire career because you got speed, you got wheels, and you can play the position, transitioning to a primarily zone guy, that's when you tend to get busted coverages because you'll get guys that want to follow their receiver out of the zone, that don't communicate well, because they're used to trailing guys. They're used to running with guys. And all of a sudden you got a coach telling you, no, just back up, stay in your zone, keep everything in front of you. And as a man corner, you're like, well, that's boring. That's no fun. But once you understand how it fits into the rest of the defense, they'll be better at it. But I think initially you're going to probably have some busted coverages because guys that are so used to playing man are going to follow guys out of their zone, and you have probably a back coming out of the backfield or a tight end on a shallow route that gets, up the field a little bit and you're like, well, why is nobody over there? Well, because the corner ran off with his guy. He's still trying to figure out how to play zone, and I think that's probably going to be the biggest transition in terms of playing the position scheme-wise because I think the rest of it is similar enough to what Clancy ran, that the veteran guys will be able to do it and pick up on it pretty quickly.
I think that's where not having spring practice kind of hurts us a little bit with the younger guys. We don't have that spring practice to be able to start working on that stuff already.
Yeah. Because if you've played a lot of man, having a guy tell you, no, just back up and play deep, your tendency is to get bored and you want to go chase guys and you want to leave your zone. Or if a receiver leaves your zone, you don't communicate to the guy next to you because you're just not used to doing it. So I think it's going to take us a game or two in the secondary for them to get used to playing that much zone, right? Because we've never played that much zone before. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it transitions.
I think the biggest question mark, and I would like everyone's input on this one. The biggest question mark so far, I think, is going to be our safety position. Other than Hufanga, it's like a mixed bag back there. So who's going to be the safeties other than Hufanga?
Same thing. Isaiah Palomar.
Okay.
And Hufanga.
But I will say that we need to. What I did notice last year was there was a tremendous drop off to when Tongan Tiger and Palomar were injured. The safety position just really took a big hit, and it showed on the field, which made our cornerbacks even more vulnerable when it came to playing that cover zero and trying to stay man-to-man with the receivers. So hopefully, this year these guys have developed with Coach Dante there. I can't remember the safeties coach's name, Navier? Craig
Navier. Yep.
Navier, yeah. So, and I've heard nothing but great things from him and the recruits that he was recruiting out of when he was at Texas. They wanted to play for him. So I remember Texas secondary played well against us and Sam Darnold when we played them. So I'm hoping that he could develop these safeties to be able to come in and step up when needed.
I think a lot of that is because a lot of the bad safety play that we saw last year was fundamental stuff. It was taking false steps. So you'd have a safety that would creep towards the line of scrimmage when really he should be getting his depth, or he would be moving laterally when he should be opening up and getting depth, right? So we saw a lot of plays where the safety was caught out of position. He was either underneath the play instead of being on top of it, or he was out of position, stuff like that. Experience will help with that, right? Playing a lot of zone is going to help with that, right? Because when you're playing zone and the safety, your first step is always going to be, unless he's playing robber, unless they're doing some sort of robber coverage where he's playing the underneath routes and stuff like that, then, he's going to be playing deep all the time. Remember back in the day when Carroll had Taylor Mays. Taylor Mays used to play 15, 20 yards off the ball. I remember? And he would stay back there just so he could clean somebody's clock, So we're gonna have a small transition in the secondary in terms of learning, right? Just to transition from playing so much man to playing so much zone. I think it's going to be big for them. But once we get the handle of it, we're going to be good. I think we're going to be real good because we're going to clean up a lot of stuff up front. You're not going to see a lot of the stuff that happened to us, a lot of those intermediate passes, a lot of those passes that were in the boundary or in the zone. We're going to be able to take away a lot of that stuff. So the way teams were hitting us last year, they're not going to be able to hit us this year simply because of the difference in scheme. We're going to have players in those positions where last year they were running off backs to the ball, playing man instead of containing or being up front with the defensive end. So I think it's going to be a lot different, both run and pass-wise. I think we're going to be a lot better. We're not going to get hit for a lot of big plays like we did before. I think we're going to have enough people back deep to be able to cover for stuff like that.
I think as far as reserves go, I really like Braden Allen. Solid tackler. He'll be solid in coverage as well. Just what, Brandon was talking about, how the difficulty of the scheme for younger guys is not going to be as difficult. Chase Williams has played a lot of football over his time. This is going into his third season. He's always solid. I like what I seen from the kid. I think he was on some people was a 2-star on some ranking sites. Koalani Mokala. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but number 23. If you watch him, he played a lot of nickel last year, but he's like a transition player between nickel and safety as well. And watch out for Greg Jones. One of the interviews that Dante did, the new DB coach, he said Greg Jones can slide to safety as well if need be.
Come on, Greg Johnson?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Greg Johnson.
I'm telling you, there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent on the defense, and we got to utilize it properly. That's the main thing. We got a lot of linebacker. Our linebacker room is, I think, very similar to our wide receiver room. Just a lot of talent and a lot of guys just itching to get on the field. That's the way I look at it. I
agree.
I was just sitting there thinking that, it was interesting as much as we complained a lot about what we saw last year out of the scheme. And believe me, there was a lot to complain about. At times, we had those individual players who were just able to step up and just totally own the guy they were playing in front of and get into the backfield and make plays. Now, you imagine putting those type of players in the type of scheme they're going to be playing in this year, and it's lights out, man. I mean, as long as they got their heads into the game and they do what Orlando is trying to get them to do in terms of his pressure packages, oh, man. We're going to have quarterbacks on their backs a lot this year. I firmly believe that.
I got a question for you, Brandon. What do you see in the run game? What are we looking like? We struggled last year a lot, especially in between the tackles.
Yeah, well, and it's just what I was thinking too, because that Mac linebacker in Orlando scheme does a lot of A-gap blitzing.
Yeah.
For me, those are almost like run blitzes. You know what I'm saying? Because if the quarterback isn't there, he's essentially plugging the hole that the zero technique is taking the opposite shoulder on, right? So you got the zero technique trying to control the center and play off of the two guards to his left and right. Orlando likes to call a lot of blitzes in those A-gaps. If it's not a pass play and it's going to be a run play, then that blitz turns essentially into a run blitz, right? So now you got your Mac linebacker stuffing those A-gap runs. I think there is some potential for us to get caught on the edges only because that rush linebacker on the weak side does have the option of either rushing and dropping off. So if we're caught, say, on an off-tackle play and he's supposed to drop into his zone, well, he's naturally vacated that area, and the rover is going to be too far inside. The Mac linebacker is going to be too far inside maybe to get back out. So that's the only time I can actually see us having a problem. But I can also see that rover and that Mac linebacker shooting those gaps and getting to the play before it gets outside. So I think in the A-gap we're going to be fine because essentially we're going to have the same sort of defensive alignment. Most of the time you're going to see what looks like 4-down linemen and 2 linebackers probably at 10 or 20 depth, right? And that's going to be the rover and the Mac linebacker. And one of those 2 guys is going to come on almost every single play. So we're going to be able to play the rush lanes and stuff a lot of that stuff inside. On the edges, we'll have to see. We're going to be stronger to the 4 technique side than we are going to be to the rush linebacker side because you never know what that guy is going to do on a particular play. He could be coming or he could be dropping out. So I think on the strong side, we're going to be fine. On the back side, we're going to have to see how those guys play, whether they can handle a rush coming their way. But if they're aggressive enough, if the linebackers shoot those gaps and get underneath those guards and can blow those plays up in the backfield, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. I think that nickel / safety opposite of that rush backer, that's going to be key. He's gonna have to be a big body, and that's what I said. I like what he coins as his positionless defense. That third safety / nickel plays like a linebacker because he's going to make a lot of tackles.
Yeah. If you look at a lot of his scheme, I mean, even the nickel sets, that third guy, that extra defensive back, he's playing in terms of his gaps and where he's lined up at. He's playing. He can do either one. He can either play like a linebacker or he can go out and cover. So, and I think he does that on purpose because number one, he's trying to screw up the read of the quarterback, but he wants that guy to be able to change on a dime, right? I think most of the sacks, if I was reading correctly, most of the sacks came from the rover or the Mac linebacker because of where he was blitzing at. But I think the second highest number of sacks probably came from that nickel safety transition guy.
So what do we think, guys? I mean, last year, Mark was all excited because we got a new offensive coordinator that called plays, the air raid. You must be pretty geeked this year. I mean, for what you've seen so far, Brandon, in terms of the personnel and everything else, you got to be thinking this defense is going to be nasty.
Well, yeah, because, honestly, being a 4-3 guy, I've never been a great fan of the 3-4, but the way Todd Orlando plays it is so aggressive that at the actual snap of the ball, there could be 5 guys at the line of scrimmage. There could be 6. Because of the way he brings them. He'll bring his Mac linebacker. He'll bring his rover. He'll bring that rush linebacker, all 3 of those guys. And then you have the 2-4 techniques and the 0 technique. So at that point, you got 6 guys coming at the quarterback. And the quarterback had no idea pre-snap that was coming, right? Or he thought it was coming from one side when it actually came from the other side because that's the way Todd rolls. But in terms of just visually what we're looking at on the field, I think we're going to see what looks like a much more aggressive defense.
Yeah. Which I think is what a lot of us want to see.
I'm hell of excited.
Yeah, no, I think that's what a lot of us want to see. I mean, it got real tiring seeing the same thing over and over again over the last 3 years. It's always nice to, have some excitement.
And that's why I was asking Juliano about what he was working at, what techniques he was working as the rush in. Because a lot of times all we saw was a speed rush, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that he's working on different moves, his bull rush, his swim technique, his speed rush, his swim, tells me that, he's looking to be really aggressive at that position. He's looking to make some plays. He wants to get after the quarterback, and he wants to get after him bad. And that's just the sort of passion we need out of that rush in that we haven't seen because you got to, over the last couple of years, hell, that game where UCLA ran on us, 250 yards, 240 yards, something like that, that was all off tackle. Every play was off tackle. It was off tackle right or off tackle left. It was like, they were like, okay, you got no ends, you got no contain, and if you guys are going to stop us, we're going to run the ball there every single damn down. And they did. Every single down, they ran the ball right off the edge. So I think that's going to be much improved. Guys like Drake and stuff, come on. We got some players, man. I think we got some players that individually can make plays, but in that scheme, you're going to have a lot of guys on their backside in terms of offensive players, running back stuffed in the backfield, and quarterbacks on their butts. I think we're going to have a lot of that next year, or this year, I should say.
I'm curious to know who backs up at that 0 technique. Obviously Peely is the starter. I would have to think at 340 pounds, right? Who's next?
I'm hoping Trevor Trout is that guy. Since the time we recruited, I've been talking about Trevor for so long, man. Ever since we recruited him out of Missouri, I said, man, we're finally starting to get a collection of big bodies that can fill those gaps and those holes. Especially at that technique, man. I feel like we haven't had that many since, we got lucky when Stevie came over from Utah and transferred, but even before him, I can't recall having a guy that fit that description to plug those holes. But for me, I'm really hoping that Trout is healthy because I know he had an injury last year and that he gets his reps and gets it going on the defensive side of the ball because he's been there for 2 years now. And I think if there's ever a time, it's right now.
What about that kid Benton that we kind of took at the last minute, right? He opened some eyes too.
I think he's still small to play a 0. I'd probably have him over at the 4. Or what they could do is they could start Marlon at the 0, back him up with Peely, and then you have, you put guys at the 4 like who's the grad transfer that's played the last 2 years?
Tremblay?
Tremblay, yeah. Trembley's a 4. And then, so guys like that. You might have to play Marlon over the nose.
I mean, and there are going to be some times in Orlando's defense because he will run a 2-4-5. That those two guys are just going to be basically 2-4 techniques. So whoever's playing at 0, he's not going to be on the field all the time. So he'll get a chance to get off, get some rest, come back in, get his game tight.
Cool.
All right. We got anything else, or we're going to wrap it up?
I think we're good. Unless anybody else anything else to say. Mark.
Good.
Appreciate it, Brandon.
I'm good,
right.
man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Fight on. We'll see y'all next week.
All right. Fight on, fellas.
Bye, guys.